All right, apologies for such a huge gap in between. Turns out if you have a full-time job, that kind of has to take precedent over something that you're doing on the side that you're not getting paid for. But that's fine. I'm here now. I've been doing it bit by bit. So I want to just start off the video talking about what the heck am I talking about in this video. We talked about in the last video that step 0 for research is to develop a curiosity. Ask questions, not necessarily a research question, just like try to gauge what you're curious about, try to really build that motivation within yourself to see this project out. And so the next step is to find literature, meaning finding things that talk about what you're curious about, seeing if other people have already done something with it and see where you can extend it. And so in this video, I want to focus on 3 things that helped me in terms of like my literature search for things. So we're going to first start looking at Google Scholar, and then we're going to look at journals, and then we're going to use the community that we're at or that we would like to be involved in. So those are the 3 things that we're going to do. We're going to look at the references list, read through all the things that people have cited, and see if we can rabbit chase our way through some deeper understanding of the curiosity that we have. So let's go do that. All right, so I have transitioned to my computer setup. I have Google Scholar open. So where the heck do you begin with this? I always just like to use the keywords that I want to use. I was curious about student frames, so I'll ask it student frames. I'm like, okay, I see that this has some stuff. Since this is Google Scholar, I think, I don't know this for sure, I think the search algorithm is kind of set for what they think you will find relevant. And so I have been searching stuff about this, so my searches might be different from yours. I see some stuff here. I'm like, okay, student behavior and epistemological framings, examples from collaborative active learning in physics. So I'm seeing other subjects talking about this, and so how assessment stuff. So I didn't feel like that was very thorough for me. And so I was like, okay, let me add the keyword mathematics to see if that comes up with something more interesting. And so that led me down to this first article from Weinberg, Weisner, Fukawa, Kennelly. They have now added highlights to things. And so that has helped me in terms of reading something, skimming something, and seeing if that's going to be interesting for me. And so this is actually the first one, one of the first ones that I found, the Weinberg, Weisner, Fukawa, Kennelly paper. And so I've gone ahead and read a bit of it. I didn't like do a deep dive of like thoroughly studying everything, but I did go ahead and read it, and it was very interesting. So I took some notes about it. I was like, okay, the investigated sense making. And then I was like, I don't know what the heck that really means. It just means constructing personal meanings, frames in mathematics lecture. So let me actually zoom in on this so you can actually see the text. Okay. So then I started taking notes, or maybe just copy and pasted some of the key things that I wanted to take from it. And then I bolded something. I was like, okay, these results show the importance of understanding the way students make sense of aspects of mathematics lectures and how their sense-making practices influences what they might learn from lecture. And so this is starting to begin to ground myself in the literature of like, okay, this is aligned with what I'm curious about. I know that students, or from my perspective, I know that students are making sense of what the heck I'm doing. Like, why is Johan doing X, Y, and Z? And how is that helpful for my learning? And so I'm starting to ground it. So I was like, okay, these group of people might be an interesting lens to look at. So then I keep a tab in my head that says, okay, I'm going to pay attention to Weinberg, Weisner, and Fukawa, Kennelly. Perhaps that will be names that I will see again. I read this Tannheiser paper, so I know what it's about, and I know this is not really going to be too helpful for me because it's mostly for the perspective of the instructor. So I know it's not the one that I want. So then I scroll down a bit. I'm like, oh, look, I see Fukawa, Kennelly again. And so I'm like, okay, students' epistemological frames and their interpretation of lectures in advanced mathematics. So this is not necessarily in the scope of what I want to pay attention to, which is intro math classes, calculus 1, pre-calculus, algebra. This is advanced mathematics, which typically refers to like stuff that they'll take in like their second or third year. But then I click it and I try to read through it, and I'm like, okay, they're talking about this epistemological frame. I note that again because I'm like, okay, this is interesting. It's from the advanced perspective, so maybe I can contrast my future study with, they're talking about this in advanced mathematics, but what's this look like in the lower division courses, in the introductory math courses? And so I'm like, okay, I don't actually remember off the top of my head what epistemological means. It's been a journey trying to pronounce that word. But anyways, he says, relating to the theory of knowledge and how knowledge is acquired. I'm like, okay, if I want to go the angle of students' frames of learning, this might be something important for me to pay attention to. And so they rely on physics educators, right? And so I just copy and pasted this. So this is really helping their frames of what it means to learn. So I'm like, oh, okay, wonderful. Somebody already did the work for the learning bit. But now I'm getting my gears going of like, what about for teaching though? How are they interpreting what teachers are doing? I'm like, okay. So then I get into this rabbit hole of, I keep seeing this phrase sense making. So I went ahead and started looking for those. And so I found 3 of them. Again, these are just from Google Scholar. I was like, okay, these are the things there. And so then I go back, I'm like, okay, where did I come from when I'm talking about frames? And I came from noticing. I'm like, okay, noticing is this fancy word that says it's how people attend, like what are the things that they're paying attention to, how do they interpret that information, and how do they respond? And so I found some stuff on that. And I was like, okay, I'm getting a good gauge of stuff. But this is pretty much where my Google Scholar has taken me. All right, so the next one is really related to the Google Scholar thing. The Google Scholar thing to me is really where I start my journey. If you notice, these 3 articles from the student frame mathematics search, they're all from the same journal, the Journal of Mathematical Behavior. Then you have an international congress of something. So the next one that I try to look for is journals. What journals are talking about these things? And maybe I can search within those journals itself to find something. So we already have the Journal of Mathematical Behavior open, so let's just look through that. And they have a wonderful search feature. So then you would go ahead and look up student frames. And again, you'll see the things that you've already paid attention to. You're like, okay, there's the Krupnik, Fukawa-Kennelly, Weber paper. There's the Weinberg-Weisner, Fukawa-Kennelly paper. But maybe there's some things here that I'm not seeing, right? Maybe I missed it. So reasoning with quantitative frames of reference, not necessarily the type of frame that I'm looking at. Okay. So this one's kind of short. It's just like looking through the different journals that you have seen and noticed. So pay attention to what journals they're coming out of and then looking through those. The thing that I have noticed with this is that there's not really a lot of literature on the thing that I'm specifically looking for. And I would think that there is something already, right? And so to deal with that, I went ahead and asked a community of people. And so this is the 3rd thing that I did for my literature search. So I don't know what other fields go through in terms of their community, but for the research in undergraduate mathematics education community, we have a mailing list from Google Groups that gets the word out to people. It's been a while since I asked this question. I think I asked it before the conference that I went to. And so it's right here. I'm like, hello. And so I asked them the question. I got 5 or 6 responses privately of people really helping out. So then I talk about okay, I have this question. Does anybody have any leads? For the most part, a lot of the things that people said were the things that I already took notice of okay, this Hohensi person. I felt like I was validated. Okay, I did my due diligence. This seems like it's it. And what I posited here is, since I timed it perfectly, I'm like, oh, I'll be in person at Room this week. So in the conference that was going to happen. And so a lot of people actually went and asked me or offered to meet with me at the conference. I only had time to meet with one person. And that happened to be this Fukawa-Kennelly person. Wonderful person, by the way. So if you're seeing this, shout out to you. You really helped me out. And he really got my gears going in terms of what's happening. Oh my God, I forgot to talk about this. Speaking of that conference has such a huge breadth of topics, such a huge like the treasure trove. So they just released it just 2 days ago. There's what's known as the proceedings, which is just a fancy way of saying these are all the research articles, the papers that got written for this conference that people presented on. And so there's actually now a searchable thing. I didn't actually do this, so we're going to do the slide. So let's do student frame. Nothing, because it's just in beta, so maybe their search query is not that good yet. It is case sensitive. So perhaps if I change this to be student frame, nothing. If I do frame, okay, I get some stuff. Good. Oh, I know these people. Oh, it's getting framework as one of its keywords. Okay. So perhaps frames? Oh, look, there's me. And then there's me. And then there's me. The other people that have done this, different epistemological frames. Okay. This might be a good paper based on what I'm seeing. Oh, there he is again. Fukawa Kanelli. Like I'm saying, you gotta start paying attention to these people's names. So that's something that I can add. So I think if I click on it, I can download it, but I think it'll also lead me to this. Okay. So then I just copy and paste that link, put it into my growing page of links, and there it is. Okay. So those are the 3 things. Mostly it's just Google Scholar. I think Google Scholar is really good. And then looking at journals specifically, looking at room proceedings, or if you have a conference proceedings thing that you will look at, paying attention to names, and then really reaching out to people that are nice to you. And the last thing is once you have all of these papers, you're going to citation chase. So let's do it for this one. This paper that came out in the 22nd conference. So there's a bunch of references here. And then we're just going to look. Maybe I missed something, right? We're going to see the Krupnik Fukawa Kanelli paper right there. But just citation chase to see if you have missed something. But again, based on my conversations with people at the conference, this is pretty much the length of things. And so this gets me really excited for what we're going to talk about in the next video, because the next video we will talk about designing the study and talking about the IRB, the Institutional Review Board. Okay, we're going to talk about that in the next video when we think about what it means to design a study and what I have gathered from all of the conversations that I've had, things that I've read. And so hopefully that comes out sooner than later. But I think that is it for this. If you are following along with your own study, good luck with your literature search. But if not, I will see you in the next stage when I possibly have a study design concrete and an IRB settled. We'll talk about that next time.